Mr. Speaker, of course, this humanitarian crisis, children starving to death. Israel has now paused military operations amid the international outcry over this hunger crisis. Are Israel's actions too little too late, Mr. Speaker?
The images are disturbing and heartbreaking. We all want a peace there in that region. President Trump is trying to forge that, and we support it 100%. I will tell you that I've spoken to my friend Ambassador Leiter, the Israeli ambassador to the U.S., and to other Israeli officials. This is important to note. Israel, since this war began, has supplied over 94,000 truckloads full of food. It's enough food to feed 2 million people for 2 years, trying to get that into Gaza. But Hamas has stolen the food.
That is a lie, and House Speaker Mike Johnson knows that it's a lie, not only because there was never good evidence of that, but because big story, and we'll get to all the details, came out before that interview debunking it. The idea that, oh, what are you gonna do? We can't get the aid in because Hamas is stealing all of it. In fact, we need to radically revamp the way that we do this aid in a way that conveniently corrals as many Palestinians as possible in South Gaza to make it easier to ethnically cleanse them because Hamas is stealing all of the food just isn't true. And Mike Johnson is spreading knowing Israeli propaganda in saying that. It's not the only lie that he told in that. One, the idea that Donald Trump is really focused on the aid and all that. Donald Trump has, to his credit, had one or two good things to say about this starvation crisis, which I think really says more about how indisputable it is at this point than it does about Donald Trump or his ethics or whatever. And the idea that we should all be dropping our knees and thanking Israel for providing these truckloads of aid. I apologize. It's hard for me to get there emotionally. I've been distracted, I think, by the plane loads of bombs they've been delivering on a far more regular and constant basis. And so we need to talk about the crisis there, why it's gotten as bad as it is, who is actually trying to do something about this, and the obstacles between where we're at right now and how do we get to a place where people are not on the brink of starvation. Now, in a meta sense, just bear in mind, the official count of deaths in Gaza is now at 60,000. I say that because that's the official count, and that's you're a journalist. You're supposed to say the official thing. I don't think that means literally. I have no idea what that means. I don't know if it's 60, 80, 200. I don't know. I've seen the number 60,000 for like a year and a half at this point. And so that number effectively means nothing to me, except that it's really bad. Even the most conservative estimate is 20 times worse than it should have ever gotten to at this point. And many of those dead they were murdered by the Israeli military. What we're worried about going forward is the continuation of that, including the intentional murder of people desperately trying to get aid, but also those who are already starving and the far more that are likely to in the near future. And so let's catch you up just a little bit. I'm sure you've seen the photos and the video going around. It is devastating, as Mike Johnson pointed out. The photos are troubling. I would say the reality, the constructed reality of it is far more troubling. But he's happy to just talk about how he doesn't like the photos or whatever. This deeply religious man who barely can get worked up at all about the fact that people are being intentionally starved, including children. In any event, the World Food Program said this week that the hunger crisis in Gaza has reached new and astonishing levels of desperation, with a third of the population not eating for multiple days in a row. One doctor quoted by them said the number of children dying of malnutrition has risen sharply in recent days. He described harrowing scenes of people too exhausted to walk. Many of the children he sees have no pre-existing medical conditions. Giving the example of one, Sawar Barbak, who was born healthy and now at 11 months old, should weigh about 20 pounds, but is under 9 pounds. And I just want you to bear in mind, like your entire life, you've heard about starvation, and you'll see commercials about how we need to help out somebody somewhere or whatever. And it's easy to imagine abstractly it's all the way over there. I have no idea what's going on with their government or what's around it. I don't know. I just want to be super clear about this. That child who is less than half the weight that they should be is starving to death right now, and 15 miles away in Israel, people are eating brunch. They're eating fancy meals. It's not like the entire region is in the grip of starvation and the Palestinians simply have it the worst. No, just like a 20-minute drive away from many of these people, there's no crisis whatsoever because there doesn't need to be a crisis because the crisis is manufactured. So as bad as it is, and we're trying to make sure that everybody knows how bad it is, the worst part about it is that it's optional. That Israel has decided to cut the flow of aid with a variety of different lies, including the most insidious being that we have to let people starve because otherwise Hamas will steal the aid. But that is not the only one. As we previously reported, them scrapping the prior, very well distributed, based on expertise system of distributing this aid, getting rid of it and deciding, no, we're just gonna have 4 sites so you can really pack a lot of crowds in there, which provide an excuse for our soldiers to say that they were very worried for their lives. And they had to do yet another massacre of starving people. And we're gonna put all of those in South Gaza. So every Palestinian needs a crowd down there so that we can get them out of there so we can bulldoze it and build a resort. Every bit of this is utterly grotesque. Thank God people are at least paying enough attention that the media is focusing on it, putting pressure on Republicans like Donald Trump and House Speaker Mike Johnson to at least say the middling little bit that they have so far. We're gonna give you a lot more details, but what do you think, Sharon?
Yes, thankfully, mainstream media is giving 70% of the coverage this now deserves. So that's a lot more than it was. There's no drought. There's not a catastrophic weather event that caused this. We don't even need a telethon. We only need Netanyahu to stop willfully trying to kill people. And now food's not enough. You know, right before the show, I was listening to one of these world aid ambassadors who, as you mentioned, knows how to do this, but was pushed to the sideline so Israel could trickle in 8 and then 10% and then bomb some more people and kill like 50 more people overnight. And they said, look, now we need therapeutic medicine too. Even if they get the food, it's not gonna be enough. That's not how you cure what's already been done to the body, not at this level. So I think it's sick. Mike Johnson, I don't wanna hear anything about his Christian values. I don't wanna hear, he better not touch a Bible or step foot in a church, okay? Because I don't know, I have to do this, air quotes, because I don't know what kind of church he goes to that allows this, that says some children get brunch, others get the slowest, painful, most disgusting death.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing how, like, for some Christians, obviously they're great Christians. You know, one of the people I, in my entire life, have most looked up to is my grandfather, who's a great man. He was a very liberal Christian. For some conservative Christians, though, it's amazing the Jekyll and Hyde that their values can take. Like, if there's like a trans teacher, oh, Christianity, oh, values. Starving kids, I'm very troubled by the photos I'm seeing, and thank God that Israel has sent so many truckloads. Man, it's great. I'm glad you had that Bible. It really set you on the right path, Mike Johnson. But in any event, we're told we should believe there's nothing that can be done. They're doing their best. If I were in charge, I'd like to test that idea. How about this? For each child that is verified to have died of starvation, that's a 1-month ban on American foreign assistance and military aid to Israel.
Yeah.
So you get to 10 kids, well, that's just about a year you've lost out. By God, you let 100 kids starve when you've got a very well-fed population right on the other side of the wall you constructed. Well, that's gonna be a year. How fast do you think they'd get that aid flowing? Oh, the mythical specter of Hamas stealing all of it would sure disappear fast if they had something to lose. Why is it that the victims lose everything, those victimizing them, nothing? Well, you know, except for the goodwill of the world, who thankfully has turned against this horrific strategy. But other than goodwill, what have they lost? What are they risking in all of this? Put the aid on the line and they'll get that aid flowing really fast. Now, that said, it isn't, again, just the starvation. It's also the military. Graphic 5, almost 1,100 people have been killed by gunfire on their way to get the food. And to be clear, that's similar to the October 7th death count, which is devastating, obviously. We've almost reached that just in massacres of starving people. And that's just recently. That's not all of the people who've died while trying to get aid throughout the conflict. That's many times over. But my God, that this is being allowed. And I gave Trump a very minor bit of credit for speaking out a little bit. He wants these people to be fed before all of their land is stolen away and they're sent to some slum in another country. So that's good of Donald Trump. That said, he does seem to think that this is kind of more about him than I think it should be.